You're welcome to exercise 2 of this Fusion 360 beginner series exercises tutorials. That's kind of confusing to say, but you know what I mean. Anyways, we're gonna jump right into this, and just for the sake of explanation, I'm going to try to show you what the motive or the approach to take is going to be in this case. Alright, I want you to bear in mind that the approach that we're going to use right now is not something that always works for every single design that you have to do, but in a case like this, it's possible. And the reason for me doing these kind of things is for you to know that there's obviously not a single way for you to approach your design tasks, and also it's important for you to put into place a plan before you start your work, which is very important. I read somewhere while I was learning how to do CAD design that one of the most important things to do or skills to have as regards design is that you need to know, or you need to study what you want to produce, and devise not a protocol, but devise a plan that will allow you to achieve it in the minimum period as much as possible. So in this case, we have a simple sketch here, which is this. So one thing you should know is that every one of the features that we have here in the 3D model is completely defined on the top plane. And with that said, the easiest thing for us to do would be to recreate the entire thing that we see in this plane. And then once we've recreated this sketch to full detail, then the next thing we'll do is just to extrude each of the profiles according to their given distances or thicknesses as displayed in the section AA. Alright, it's also important for us to know how the section AA is being defined. It begins this way. When it gets to the center of this circle, it changes the direction in this way by 30 degrees. So it's also important for us to understand how this is, how we came about this profile in section AA. Alright, so with all of that nonsense said, we just jump right into creation of our model. Okay, so I'll begin this way by going to create sketch, and I'll select to draw on the top plane. One thing you should know about the planes, which I probably didn't mention in the last exercise, is that I usually take the planes as, let's just say, a piece of paper. So it's like a sheet, and whatever plane you draw on, it defines the direction you want your sketches to go in. So if we look at the sketches that we have here, we understand that all of the features are going in the top direction, which is also something that we can notice if we choose to take a look at it from this angle. So we know obviously now that this is the XY plane, and any extrusion that we do is going to go in this direction. So that's, I would say, it's one of the guiding factors in choosing what planes to create your sketches on. But that's is a very, very minute thing, so it doesn't really matter. Anyways, so let's get back into our design. We have our plane. I'll go back to the top view, and I'll start by creating my sketches. So I'll begin with the center circle, which is this, and I would say draw it this way. Now the radius of the center circle can be obtained from our drawing as seen here. It is diameter 28 actually. So we impute it directly here and say 28 millimeters for its diameter. All right, we notice that it is completely black, which means it's fully defined. So we're happy with that. The next thing for us to do would be to create this shape here like a box, and we just create this way. All right, so to do that, I begin from this. I would use 2-point rectangle as opposed to the previous video, and I'll create something that goes this way. I come over to this origin point, but I don't click, then I use it as a snap point to determine the end of my rectangle. With that done, I go over to line and create something rough coming in this direction. If you notice that so far everything I'm doing is kind of really rough, so well, we're glad that the softwares have improved to that level where we can create very rough sketches and define them fully later. Now I'm creating a construction line, choosing the construction type here, and then I'll go up to draw a construction line in this direction. I'll repeat another construction line coming in this direction. I'll say okay. All right, then lastly what we'll be doing is I would create new circles. We'll draw one from, let's see, zoom in from this intersection point. The diameter of one of it should be 12. I'll change this back to from construction to normal. So this is 12 in diameter. I'll draw another. Right click and move up your mouse. You repeat your previous 2. Okay, so I pick on my circle. I draw another here. The diameter of this is 34. I repeat and draw another here. The diameter of this is 48 because the radius is 24. So this is 48. And lastly, I repeat another, and the diameter of this would be 68. Alright, so now if you're wondering where I got all these dimensions from, I would explain them to you very shortly. So let me try to arrange all of this because it's beginning to get a little bit confusing. This is 48. This is 34. And this is 12. Alright, so where are these dimensions obtained from? Very easy for us to figure that out, but I'll try to show it to you. Alright, so we have here the innermost circle. Every time I say inner circle, I always think of something devious. Alright, so we have here the inner circle, diameter 12, which is this circle we have here. Then we have diameter 34, which is this circle we have here. Then we have radius of 24 multiplied by 2, which would be the diameter of 48, which is what we have here. And then lastly, we have 34 multiplied by 2 will give us the diameter of 68, which is what we have here. Alright, so that's very easy for us to understand. Okay, so get all of this out of here. And then we proceed with our design. Zoom in. Move my pan. So all we have left to do, okay, we still have a circle and some other slight features that I missed. So I'll go back to my circle. We have this circle here. The diameter of this is 12. So I'll just draw it somewhere on this construction line and say 12. With this done, I guess we also have some minor extra features to add. We do observe from our drawing that we have extra lines here, this direction, and another one coming this way. So we'd also include that right now before we start placing the dimensions properly. So to do that, I go back to line. I would draw a line coming down from this circle. We know that it's tangential to the circle of diameter 48, so I'll just draw a line coming downwards this way, and I'll repeat it at the other side also. Okay, so with this done, we go to our sketch dimensions and begin to place proper dimensions for all of this. The first thing we are going to do is we have a diameter here, or not diameter, we have an angle here of 30 degrees, which means we have to place it here. So to do that, we come over, we select on this first line, the construction line, and then this construction line. Here we insert 30. All right. Then we would place some extra constraints. We have the distance from this center point going upwards here to be 59.4 as given here. So we would place a new dimension, say from this center point coming up to this, I would say 59.4. All right. Next, what we'll do is, I don't think we would really have so much more dimensions to give, except for we have 36 here and 56 here. So from this center point to this, we want the dimension to be at an angle, so we'll say 36. And then lastly, from this to this, we want it to be 56. So this is a little bit tricky, this particular 56, and I'm not so sure. I think we might change it later, but let's see if it's if we're able to fix that without having to come back to edit these dimensions. The next thing for us to do would be to place tangent constraints, and then we'll pick between this circle and this line, because as we see from the drawing, they are tangential. So I'll say this line, and then we have that. We repeat the same process for this endpoint here, 1, 2. Okay, after that, we want this line to actually be collinear with our center point here. So we notice that they are collinear, and we want that to also be replicated in our drawing. Just something to say, in the previous video, when I was saying collinear, I was saying something like collinear. Anyways, now that I think about it, collinear isn't going to work. So what we're going to actually do is I would choose to use coincident. So I want this line and this line to be coincidental. All right. Lastly, we expect from the drawing that this line should be parallel to this. So we go over to parallel. I'll select on this and pick this. Okay. Now we notice that the 56 is proper, which I was hoping it would be, and that's good for us. So with all of this done now, remove this. With all of this done now, the next thing for us to do is just to create our extrusions. So far we know that everything we've done is correct and it looks pretty nice, right? Yeah, I know that you agree with me. All right. One thing I would also say is we have the option of cutting most of these or trimming some of the entities that we have here. But something else is that in this case, when you trim them out, and peradventure, not in this particular exercise, obviously, because this is very simple. But if you trim out every single parts that you do not need, some of your constraints would be deleted. So you'd have to sometimes have to recreate your dimensions and all of that stuff. So I'll do Ctrl Z. And in this case, since the profile or the object is very simple for us to do, I don't think it's really necessary to trim out and make it cleaner. However, it is very important for you to understand that if you choose not to clean out your sketches, then you have to take absolute care when you are creating your solids or doing your extrusions and cuts and stuff like that. Okay, so I'll finish the sketch, and what we have, I'll go over to extrude. The first thing we're going to extrude is going to be this massive part here, which we see here, this circle part here. So that's going to be our first, and we can see it as this profile here. So we do this. I go to these profiles 1 and 2. We observe from our drawing, obviously, that the distance is 42. So we repeat the same thing here, and I would say the distance of this is 42. Alright, now that we've done that, by default the software is going to remove sketches because it's assuming that we're done with that sketch, but we are not. So I'll go back here, make the sketch visible again. The next things we're going to extrude is going to be these particular profiles which we have here, the ones that go, let me change the color of this way. So meaning color change, these parts of the profile, we're going to extrude that, and we can find that here, that goes behind and comes out this way. Alright, so for us to extrude that, we understand also that the dimension for that part is going to be 26, as we can find here. So go back to my extrude. I select on the profiles. Remember, I said you have to be careful if you're not cutting out or trimming out your sketches. So I have to be careful to know that I'm selecting all the profiles that I need. So I've selected all of this and extruding by the distance of 26. We have it this way. Next, which I suppose should be the last thing to extrude, is going to be the rest of the profile, which we have in all of this region shown here. Alright, so now for us to extrude all of this, we know that the distance is 12, which is pretty simple. I would do this, and for me to select everything properly, I'm just going to change my direction. So what I'll do is I'll say extrude 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's going to be the rest of the profiles. If I take a look from beneath, yeah, so that's fine for us. And then what do? We extrude by a distance of 12. Now something that is important for us to do is that we have to select on join, so that it joins all of the other components that it touches together. So okay, I guess at this point I should erase what we have here. Alright, now we take a look at our bodies. We should have just a single body, which is this. Switch off and switch on. And that, my friend, will be the end of this exercise. I do hope that this was quite easy for you to follow, and obviously I do hope that also you enjoyed it. And if there's any confusion that you still have as regards everything that we've done in this particular exercise, do not hesitate to place it in the comment section. I would definitely try to reply to everyone, which I like to do. Except I don't have answers to the questions, then sometimes I run away. But then that's fine. So with all this said, if you like this video and you like to continue to see content like this, and you are also in the category of those I've designed this for, which means those of us who are beginners with Fusion 360 or CAD software in general, then I would strongly say that I recommend that you subscribe to this channel. And if you like this video, click on the like button and hit on the notification bell so that I get updates when I make new uploads like this. Alright guys, so that's all for now, and I'll see you in the next video.